Hello everybody, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make this deliciously easy and very effective fold back card. It looks like this is the card front, but it's actually got a panel that's folded back, hence the name, and it makes the most of the designer series paper being on the front and the back. So without further ado, let me show you the ingredients that we need, which are actually very few. It's a piece of basic cardstock and it's cut at 8.5 by 5.5 and it's scored at 4.25. So as we know, that's the size that fits into a standard envelope for mailing. Ooh, my phone is going a little bit dodgy. But then this one also has a it's kind of between 1.25, 1 3/8 fold back. So that's what makes the panels. And then it uses a piece of designer series paper and it's 5 3/8 by 3, and then it's cut in half to be two 1.5-inch pieces. Now you'll be able to see that it is one piece that I cut in half. This is such a busy pattern, it doesn't really matter so much, but sometimes if you use a designer series paper that has a really defined pattern, and especially stripes that you can see should follow across, it's better to have the whole piece, cut it in half, and then make sure you're attaching each piece to the right side. So that's actually what I'm going to do right now without further delay, is just stick these two pieces onto the side that they belong to. Making sure there's a nice border evenly around, and then you'll see this piece folds over and you don't have to have designer series paper here because no one's going to be able to see it. So let me just pop that there and then pop a little piece on this side, so it's the matching set. And then because this is quite light, I'm going to put a piece of basic white on the inside, and this is 5 3/8 and it's just cut at 2.5. And I'm simply just going to butt it up against the designer series paper because it's the same height, and that fills the inside. Now this is the fold back part, and what can happen is it wants to, you know, fold back out flat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use some tear and tape. You can use the liquid glue, but I would recommend that you use a pretty firm adhesive to make sure it stays down. And I know it's tear and tape, but you guys who watched my videos before know I'm a cut and tape kind of person. So I'm going to put it right up against the edge in all the relevant places. I just cut it into 3 to be sure I could get it straight and even. And then I'm going to quickly peel off the backing paper. And then fold it over, and that's the fold back section. So now what we need to do is do some stamping, and we're going to do it on the piece of white. So 3 different sizes. The green, oh, I've got some dimensions somewhere. This is 2 7/8. The red is 2 3/4, and the white is 2 5/8. It's just 1/8 of an inch smaller down each time. So what I need for the holly was I stamped the holly. It's actually using this lovely Christmas Classics stamp set. I stamped the holly and I cut it out with the dies, and I stamped it on the Granny Apple Green and ran it through the die cutting and embossing machine. And then while I was doing that, I also needed some red berries. So what I did was I put this berry die onto this piece here, but because this is going to be sandwiched between the green and the white, you can't tell it's there, and it just saves having to use another piece of paper. So these are the pieces that I made earlier. So we'll set those off to one side just for a moment until we get this bit done, and we're going to stamp the piece on earth in real red so it will match theme. And then in the set, I found this cutest little doodad, which I hadn't actually noticed before. And I think because it's going to be on the diagonal and being pointing in different directions, I'm actually going to use that and stamp it in the 3 corners. Obviously not the top one because that's where the holly is going to go. But I just thought it's a cute little fun element. Just adds a little bit extra. So there we go. The Peace on Earth stamped in red and these cute little jings. I don't even know what you would call them. And then we're going to do some assembly. And as you'll see by the sample, they're kind of offset. And depending on how much of an angle you use, if you put the adhesive to the edges, it would show up on the underneath. Not so much if you are going to put that flat down onto a card front, but in this instance, we're actually going to be having an area that isn't glued. And the safest way to avoid anything untoward happening by doing that is to just put adhesive in a square in the middle. And then I'm just going to eyeball it sort of equal triangles around. And again with the white, I'm just going to put a square of adhesive in the middle. And then eyeball equal amounts of red around the edge. And then we're going to fasten it to the front. But like the ZZ fold cards, you have to be very careful because if you put adhesive here, when you close it, it's going to stick your card down. So what we need to do is just have sticky in this triangle of area. And when I came to put it onto the front of the card, I used the white as the guide. So I have the white as level as I could get it. Oops. And then running down the middle of the red. So I was trying to not be sort of misguided by the reds and the greens behind. And then you'll see that because we only put it on this triangle, there is no sticky here, so you don't have to worry about sticking your card down. And then we're just going to add the holly. So for this one, I'm just actually going to use a little bit of the rolling adhesive because there's enough of it that, you know, there's nothing behind. And the little red dots, actually little berries, I suppose they are. I'm just going to attach those using some of the Tombow liquid glue because it's nice and small. Too small to pick up with your hands. And I'm really just going to use them to obscure the stalk of the holly. So I have got a little bit of glue on my fingers, but I'll use my little adhesive remover later on to get rid of that. And there you have it. I'll actually put that one off to one side because the berries are still drying. I don't want to be opening it and them fall off. So there's the card. It's got the designer series paper. It's got the fold back element. It's got a nice little surprise inside. So that's it. If you like what you've seen, please consider subscribing. Likes always go down well. Likes and shares really help my algorithm keep busy so I can keep bringing you videos like this. I'm also getting a little bit more involved with my business Facebook page, which is Facebook/alysonstamps. There are some lives which I don't feature on my YouTube channel. There are lots of still photographs, which because they're not really video worthy, they get to show up there too. So give it a check out. A like and a follow over there would be much appreciated too. And last but not least, thanks so much for watching.